Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
That power is getting ready to be put back in us. For those who believe and have ears, that power that Yahweh Shai had on the earth, we're going to get that and more. And we're going to get those heavenly bodies, man. See, Yahweh Shai died on the cross and went through all that he went through so he can go back on the right-hand side and be glorified. We're fighting and making our bodies a living sacrifice so that we can eventually be back glorified with him as well as we were before the foundation of the earth.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with God. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same, in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body.
Eternal life. That's what's promised to the elect. All right, all Israel, but it starts with the elect. And that's how the earth will be governed by immortals, perfect angelic forces who are going to come down and rule on earth. Extraterrestrial bodies will be able to do things that humans do, but in heavenly bodies. Like eating, drinking. Did not Yahweh Shai say he's going to drink wine with us in the kingdom? Well, how do you drink wine with a spiritual body? Well, we're going to have out of this world capabilities in those new bodies.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to go into today, dealing with the spirit, of the prophets, the company of prophets, go into a little history, dealing with how, the culture, of prophets, the legacy of prophets, all right, that we always had amongst our people. Now I want to start off here, because when we have to understand we are in some very, prophetic times. All right. And the Lord has the prophets on center stage, via the internet, breaking these things down. All right. And just like anything else, all right, it starts off authentic. All right. Then it becomes saturated, all right, with cheap imitations and gimmicks. And what you have amongst, these camps today, all right, is a bunch of cheap, imitations and gimmicks. They're not, a part of that legacy of the true prophets. And the Lord is making it, more plain. And at the end of the day, the Lord just continues, to make things, all right, plain. All right. So no one can say that they didn't know. All right. Or that they wasn't informed. No, the Lord, all right, is making a major separation, all right, between his prophets and everyone else. The true prophets, the true men of the Lord, all right, will be doing, all right, what, all right, the prophets of old will be doing. They wouldn't be caught up in gimmicks. You see, they wouldn't be on all these podcasts. They wouldn't be talking about building a farm and black businesses and all. No, the prophets of old, wouldn't be on it. Okay, they'll be on what you see, beginning with the apostles and the elders of GMS, sincere brothers on down within GMS, and sincere affiliates. They will be doing what they do. Okay, that's how they will come back. All right, now let's go here. I want to go into this, because let's get these precepts first, and then I'll get this video, and just to show you, all right, that you just got a bunch of men with fringes on. They change, the ministry to a hangout. All right, and their fruit, it shows by their fruit. So I'm gonna cue that up, but let's get this precept first. All right, so let's go here to the book of Revelation, chapter 19, verse 10. It says, "And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See that thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy." Okay, so the testimony of Yahushua, all right, because in order to be a witness for Yahushua, a true witness, you will have to have a spirit of prophecy, man. As we prophesy everything leading up to his second coming, because the prophets are instructed, to prepare the minds, of the people for the second coming of Yahushua. As we play the role, of the best man, well, we are to get the church, the bride, prep, for the husband, Yahushua, at his return. And that's what the prophets will have emphasis on, this prophecy. The prophets will have emphasis. They will put emphasis on prophecy. And there's so much happening in real time. This thing is going into the next phase. Esau is wide open, running to his new world order. Psyop after psyop. Event after event that all speak towards prophecy, man. So if your teacher, your leader, doesn't have you hip to what's going on prophetically, they don't have the spirit of Yahushua. And it's on some brothers, to prophesy more than others, go into, more depth and, different perspectives. But there should be a good dose of prophecy, in the teachings of all the prophets. So the spirit of a witness, a token, a sign, all right, that a man is in the spirit of Yahushua, well, he will be tapped into prophecy. And you go here, all right, to matter of fact, let's get this real quick in the book of Sirach. I say then we'll segue in a minute. So you go here to the book of Sirach. All right, we'll come back to it. You get the book of Sirach, chapter 39, in verse 1. It says, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied," and when we talk about the law, you go into the Torah, all right, or the Tanakh, where you have, because there's prophecy in Numbers, there's prophecy in Deuteronomy, there's prophecy in Genesis. So when you go into the Old Testament, the book of the law, which is the Torah, then you add the, the histories, and the writings, the chronicles to it, the Tanakh. But at the end of the day, within the book of the laws, there's prophecy. And that's why it says, and is occupied in the meditation thereof. And of course, we keep the law to the best of our ability. And it says, we'll seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in what? In prophecies. All right. And this was written, before the New Testament. So it's speaking of prophecies that haven't been fulfilled in the Old Testament, man. And there's so much going on to tap into, man. If your leader, is not in tune with prophecy, all right, he doesn't have the spirit of Yahushua. Point blank, period. There's no way, a man is calling himself a prophet, all right, and his followers don't know what the hell is going on. Okay, if you think that marriageable age, you still hung up on marriageable age, and that's your topic of concern, you don't have a clue what's going on. You damn so for sure don't know what you're a part of. Okay, you see, so let's get into this. I'm gonna go back. All right, to the book of Jeremiah. All right, let's play this video. Let's have this queued up. So let's get this real quick. And this is what guys, and amongst Israel. All right, this is cool. These guys, certain other camps, they can do and say any goddamn thing and have these mass following. But see, we don't marvel at that because that's how it's supposed to be. Because 2/3 is a bigger portion than 1/3. All right, so they supposed to be the fan favorite, the people champ. Okay, but this is what Jake is into, and they call themselves a prophet, man. Okay, so let's play this. All right, and this is the leaders, okay, or the young lost Jake that came to the Dallas camp. This is his leaders. This is what they on while he scrolling around. All right, Dallas. Okay, all right, in zombie mode. Okay, this is what his leaders on.
Hey, you heard about them? Man, I heard about them niggas. Them niggas police any goddamn way. That's crazy. Hey, them niggas be snitching, bro. They really do. Yeah, I got something for that, though. All right. Hold on, nigga. Game time. God damn.
Man, run that shit back, nigga. Let's go. Run that shit back, nigga.
What's up, though? You know what I'm saying? Hey, rib straight and everything?
Oh, no, rib is in order.
Oh, she in order. Oh, shit. Mine in order, too, man. Look, what time is it?
Shit, it's only 11, so I
Man,
guess
we got time to get to the motherfucking shit.
Con, there's bitches up there.
Bitches?
Con.
Oh, my goodness. You talking about much polygamy.
Yes, sir.
Nigga, I'm with that shit, nigga.
Get it.
Last time I checked, I was the man in these streets.
That's your favorite rapper? Listen, I used to sell work. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Wayne,
Listen,
he said I gotta stay concrete.
Wayne?
Come on, man.
Wayne,
Listen, be about your papers.
Wayne's rap ever.
Wayne got some money on my nigga. Y'all niggas
Respect on nigga. Y'all gonna put respect on Uncle 40, nigga. Nigga, what? You don't know slang. Nigga, you don't even know slang without. Nigga, what rap you want to listen to? Nigga, we can't without the back.
Lil Wayne. Ever touch the microphone?
Nigga, Sister Carter too?
Wayne got how you doing?
What?
What you just witnessed right now?
Yes.
It's some nigga shit.
504.
See how SUBK, man? We embrace niggas, man. We love niggas. Nigga shit is all we know.
All the time.
I would never arrest my niggas.
Every rap in the world.
I'll never hate my
Set a
niggas.
whole trend for the next.
I love my niggas. Look at these niggas, man. You understand? We all black because we soldiers. We wore purple.
How you rap it?
These niggas is who God love. You understand? Just keep that in mind next time you take the stand.
Nigga, I been more hippopotamus.
I gotta get rich before you pioneer
For who? What? For who? For the earth, nigga.
Weak ass Bay Area music.
Nigga, Jesus.
So, nigga, we serve the nigga God.
You see, Jake is a lot of Jake is drawn to that. So you got these nigga friendly, Israelites, you got these world friendly Israelites, and that's what Jake is drawn to. Okay, and you see, all right, that their fruit, okay, don't know anything about the Bible. Okay. You see, this is we in the clutch. And this is what your leader is on. And your other, all right, leader, ISUBK Capital Zariak, he's somewhere, talking about a farm, okay, or a business, all right, or trying to, because whatever platform he's on, he conforms, to the talking points of their platform. You know, so if he's around entrepreneurs, he's gonna conform to entrepreneurs. Okay, if he's around niggas, he's gonna conform to nigga shit. Okay, and this is what Jake is on. Now, what I want to go into, let's go here to the book of Jeremiah. Okay, and this is what Jake is at in the clutch. Okay, we come to the worst time ever. All right, and these men have thousands of followers. Okay, and that's why you see, you know, most of people that know they Israelites don't have a clue of what's really going on. Okay, matter of fact, I want to get this in the GNT real quick. Okay, before we get that, because when you go into the GNT, we always get it, you know, mainly talking about Esau. All right, but you know, these things, all right, can apply, all right, on a smaller level, you know, dealing with Jake, okay, and their leadership as well, okay. So when you go to the book of Sirach, chapter 10, all right, let's pull it up real quick. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 10. All right, in verse 2, it says, all the officials, all right, and all the citizens will be like their ruler. Okay, all the officials and all the citizens will be like their ruler. All right, and that's the same thing that goes in these camps. Okay, all the officers of these different camps, you know, the people that watch these different camps, well, they embody the spirit of the camps that they watch. Okay, they embody the slander, you know, of GMS. All right, they embody, all right, calling on Christ, you know, IUIC. Okay, they embody not putting emphasis on doctrine or prophecy and just, you know, happy to just come hang out. Okay, they embody those characteristics. Okay, they embody, all right, niggadom. Okay, they embody nigga culture. They embody gang culture and freakiness. If you still with Shakari, you know, you still following that brand, okay, you got to have some type of level of freakiness that you still on too. Okay, there's no way that you, you know, the heterosexual man can be attached to that brand after what that man did. Okay, and see Jake, you see Jake act like there's nothing. Jake will bring the biker jacket up like it just happened. Okay, but what this man did, Al-Azhar, okay, and you can see the spirit of Al-Azhar still on Deacon Hakai and what you got, all right, Hassad, yeah, this guy Hassad, okay, you can see his spirit on them, you know. So just as, you know, the leaders of these camps, so are the officials, okay, and the people that follow them, okay. So when you go, let's go back, all right, to Maya, okay. So you get the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28, all right, in verse 8. All right, this is the book of Jeremiah 28 and 8. It said, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and pestilence, man. All right, and where we at now, these should be the main talking points. All right, here it is. We at the war. All right, this is going to end all wars forever. The war in which Yahweh Shai will return. How is this not a major topic? Okay, what's to come to America? You know, the scriptures speak about we're coming into the worst times since the earth was. Okay, we're coming into the worst time ever. So how can we not, okay, emphasize on what's to come, especially here in America? Okay, and of evil, all right, and of pestilence. You see, it's some bad times to come, you know, and we pray, all right, that we're protected, okay? But how is this not at the focal point, all right, of what your teachers is telling you, man? You see, and when you go back here, because, you know, this concept of a company of prophets, you go back, and we'll get a little backdrop on it as well, put over a few things in the GNT, okay? Now, this is Samuel, you know, sending Saul, all right, on his way, okay? And Saul, you know, he runs into a company of prophets. So let's pick up here in 1 Samuel, you know, 10:5. It says, and after that thou shalt come to the hill of the Most High, where is the garrison of the Philistines, and it shall come to pass when thou art come thither to the city, that thou shalt meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place with a psaltery and a tabret and a pipe and a harp before them, and they shall prophesy. Okay, so you had a company of prophets, okay, that met Saul. Okay, they had actual instruments, you know, that they was playing as they was prophesying. You know, like a live band type. All right, but they was into prophecy, man. Okay, and what happened to Saul? It says, in the spirit of the Lord, okay, will come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with them, and thou shalt be turned into another man. See, when the spirit of Yahweh Bashim shines on you, okay, we'll say, who can help? Okay, but prophesy, man. Okay, now the thing is, the Lord can take his spirit off you, you know, and that's the thing that keep us humble, all right, because we understand that we, all right, are disposable, man. You know, so privileged, you know, to prophesy. And that's another thing. These guys act as if, you know, they're, you know, the Most High's in their debt, you know, and they get in this ministry and, you know, they taking it, do it for filthy lucre, become popular, make it, you know, all these different things except the mission, which is to prophesy. Okay, the whole, you know, you call it a prophet. Okay, what type of prophet that don't really tap into prophecy, man? Okay, it's like a singer that don't sing. Okay, it's crazy. You see? But shows you that, you know, when the spirit of Yahweh Shemal shines upon you, you know, you become a new man. Okay? You wouldn't be having with real nigga university. Okay, my niggas, you know, still calling brothers niggas. We don't call brothers niggas, man. All right? Brothers ain't niggas, man. Okay? Hey, then that's old, you know, that's the old man. Okay? And we talk about, you know, particular things off camera, man. Okay, but why put that on camera? Okay? Why make that, you know, a foundation, like you're building on that foundation of being a nigga? Because they're not prophets. All right. And Jake hasn't been turned, you know, to another man. All right. Now let's go here to 1 Samuel, all right, chapter 19. All right, it's 1 Samuel. All right, 19 and 18. So this was King David was on the run from King Saul. 1 Samuel 19 and 18 says, so David fled and escaped and came to Samuel to Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in the Newath. And it was told Saul, saying, behold, David is in the Newath, all right, in Ramah. And Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing, all right, as appointed over them, showing that they had rank, all right, the spirit of the Most High was upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied, man. Okay, so you always had a community, you know, there would be times, you know, where you will have a community of prophets, okay, amongst Israel. Okay, so what we've entered into, all right, is a legacy, okay, amongst our people, all right, and GMS is a company of prophets, man. There's no doubt that this is the company of prophets, okay, coming back in their lot. Okay, and these men are not named. Okay, going back to the time of Elisha, okay, well, there was 7,000 men, other prophets other than Elisha, okay, that didn't bend the knee to Baal. Okay, so showing you that it was always, all right, a portion, okay, an exclusive, okay, community of prophets, okay, and what would they be doing? They would be prophesying. You see, so let's go here. When you go to, I believe it's 2 Kings, lucky. So let's go here. You go to the book of Kings, okay, and hold on, let me find it. I want to get that word. Okay, chapter 2. All right, so you get 2 Kings chapter 2. All right, and this is when Elijah, you know, is getting ready to be taken up. Now I want to go here, 2 Kings 2:1. It says, "And it came to pass when the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Al-Shai will take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down, okay, to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came from Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master, okay, from thy head today? And he said, yeah, I know it. Hold your peace. Okay, so call them what? The sons of the prophet. Okay, so what is this going into? So let's go into this word. All right, sons. Okay, which when you go into it, all right, and they knew Elijah was going to be taken away. You know why? Because they the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so you go into this word sons, which we know in the Hebrew is bun. All right, a bun yum. Okay, for plural. All right, so when you go into sons, now when you go down, all right, because it could be, of course, it's talking about, you know, your son, all right, your male, all right, seed, okay, but then you can jump down here to definition 9. It says a member of a guild, all right, order, all right, or class. You see? So when you go into, okay, what is a guild? Okay, let's get this word guild. All right, what is a guild? It says a guild is an association of people with similar interests or professions, originally formed in the Middle Ages by artisans and merchants for mutual aid, protection, and to regulate their trade. Today, the term also refers to any group organized around a shared interest, okay, or skill, a shared interest or skill, including professional organizations and communities, all right, of practice and business. Okay, so the prophets, okay, will likened it to a guild that we're, all right, united, okay, by what? Shared interest, okay, or skill, which is what? The ability to prophesy, to teach, okay, because when you go into the scriptures, all right, we're yoked together by the same interest, man. Definitely not no nigga shit, man, of trying to be popular. No, the true prophets, okay, will be tapped into prophecy, man. Okay, the true prophets would be have an expectation of the end of this thing, understanding the circumstance. We in captivity, man. Okay, so let's go here. What did Apostle Paul say? All right, when you go to 1 Corinthians 1:10, it says, "Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment." Okay, in the same spirit. Okay, the spirit of the prophets, okay, will be similar. Brothers got their different gifts and they different offices, but guess what? We got the same interest when it comes to the spirit, okay, of prophecy and the Lord taking this place down, man. Okay, us being delivered. You see, tapped into what's going on real time. All right, let's go here. Let's get another one. I believe that's in the book of so Rock is 13, maybe. Let's go here. And we'll get the other one. So this here, the book of so Rock, I want to say it's 13, maybe. Yeah, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 13, verse 15. It says, "Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorted according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like." Okay, and what you have today, the prophets, all right, they cleave unto their like. Have, all right, a company of prophets beginning with our apostles and elders, all right, GMS, okay, and the affiliates, man. All right, the sincere brothers, you know, that don't have the banner for teaching the spirit, you know, and they still, you know, we build out the same, you know, doctrine, which is in Yahushua. Okay. So every man will cleave to his like. Okay, that's why even in Israel, you still got niggas cleaving to niggas. All right, it's a lot of ISBK, they got a lot of ratchet, still out of order women, you know, Sakari, ratchet, out of order niggas and women. Okay, ISBK, they're proud of life, you know, type Israelite. You see, they're bougie, you know, that spirit. You see? So every man cleave to his like. So the prophet's gonna cleave to the prophets, man, because they have the same interest. Okay, the same profession. You see? So when you go here, let's get this. I want to get this backdrop real quick. So just look some history up on chat. You know, dealing with the sons of the prophets. Okay, so when you go here, okay, all right, so excellent question. This is one of the more fascinating aspects of Israel prophetic tradition that is often mentioned but rarely explored in detail. The sons of the prophets or company of the prophets appear throughout the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, and 2nd Chronicles, okay, and represent what we might call prophetic guilds or communities, organized groups of men devoted, listen to this, now it says occasionally and occasionally women. All right, it said devoted to, because you had prophetess, which was wives of the prophets, you know. But going into it, you know, the elder brother, Manata Zagba, got, you know, a few videos going into that. All right. But it's an organized group of men devoted to prophetic ministry, study, and worship. Okay. Devoted to prophetic ministry, study, and worship. Okay. Do not you have that today? Okay. Those company of prophets are back, man. Okay. And all of them are not known by name. All right. But how do you recognize something is back is through what? The characteristics of it. That's how we know the Greco-Roman Empire revived in the earth. Okay, Trump is Nero, because you gotta go into the characteristics. All right, it says terminology and identity. It says the phrase sons, all right, of I said the phrase sons here does not mean biological offspring, but disciples or apprentices. In Hebrew idiom, okay, sons often refers to a membership in a guild or group, like sons of the singers or sons of priests. It says, and jump down. All right, now you know the Bible, okay, you know the son, the word son doesn't mean the same thing every time. All right, we're dealing with the sons of prophets. You know, in this context, you're talking about disciples or apprentices. Okay, in that context. All right, sometimes talking about your actual son. All right, your seed. Okay, but it says the earliest mention comes in 1 Samuel 10:5, where a band of prophets meet Saul. They came down from the high places. All right, playing tambourine, flutes, and harp, prophesying as a group. Okay, just like Camp's doing. We're singing that new song. Okay, the light just came on over. It says Samuel seems to have organized or overseen these communities. All right, yeah, order. It said this suggests. All right, this suggests Samuel founded schools. Okay, founded schools or communities of prophets, possibly to perceive. All right, to preserve Salaki, possibly to preserve conventional faith and moral, okay, instruction during corrupt period, okay, of judges. All right, it says in 2 Kings 2-6, the sons of the prophets are clearly, all right, structured group under Elisha's authority. They lived in a communal setting, okay, at Bethel, Jericho, Gilgal, and possibly Ramah. All right, that's why you have with these different camps. You know, brothers don't live, you know, like on a compound, you know, but in these different, you know, brothers, you know, together in these different cities, you know. So you got company of prophets, you know, in all these different states and these different cities, man. It said they lived in communal settings at Bethel, Jericho, Gilgal, and possibly Ramah. They were students, disciples, and assistants, okay, of the master prophet. All right. And it says each community was led by a master prophet. Samuel, Elijah, or Elisha are examples. It says members submitted to his instruction, guidance, and spiritual oversight, likely composed of young men who felt called to prophetic service. Some may have been Levites and other, all right, devout Israelites. They lived communally or near, all right, their leader's home. Location Ramah, Bethel, Jericho, Gilgal, possibly Mount Carmel. These sites were often centers of worship or pilgrimage, making them strategic for teaching and ministry. Okay, so just going down, it says they often live together, sharing food, space, and resources. All right, it says 2 Kings 6 verses 1-2 shows they built communal dwellings. All right, the place where they dwell with you is too small. It said the poverty was common. Note that the story of the widow, all right, of a prophet in 2 Kings 4:1, whose husband died in debt. Okay, whose husband died in debt. Now it says many live austere, simple lives, often dependent on gifts and divine provision. Okay, they use modest foods, wild gourds, meal, and flour. Okay, so you know, and this is you know similar to today. You know, now brothers have different, you know, financial situation, but most brothers live austere, you know, simple, you know, modest, okay, lives, man. Okay, and that's how the, you know, the company of prophets. Okay, that's what they was. They was about prophecy, man. Wasn't high on the social ladder. All right, they was dedicated, okay, to prophecy. You see. So let's go here. So you're not wrong if you have substance. Okay. But for the most part, most of them, they live, modest. Okay. And they was tight, they was close knit. Okay. Which is not the exact, same, because we spread out in these different cities, brothers are spread out. Okay, whatever. Okay. But the same concept of being close knit, okay, and prioritizing, the ministry, man. Okay. So that's why when you go here, all right, and those men in the back, the company of prophets, there's no doubt, all right, that these men in the back, all right, in that same spirit. Okay. That's why we're going to get that in First Corinthians. But let's get this, because we went into this in the previous lesson, but I want to read down on it. Sirach 44. And I started at 1 and reading to the point. It said, let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begot us. The Lord have wrought great glory by them through his great power. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecies, leaders of the people by their counsels, and learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent in their instructions, such as found out musical tunes, okay, and rejected, all right, and recited. So like verses in writing, it says rich, okay. It said rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitation. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their time. There be of them that have left a name behind, that their praise might be reported. Okay, so you got your King Solomon's, your King David's, okay, your Isaiah's, your Jeremiah's, okay, Daniel, these certain men. All right, and a lot of these men were well off and rich and wise, and you see. But then when you keep reading, it says, verse 9, it says, some there be which have no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been, and are become as though they have never been born, and their children after them. Okay, so you have certain men that don't have, these big names. Okay, those 7,000 prophets that didn't bend the knee to Baal, they didn't have a name. They didn't have, all right, a name, all right, that can be reported, so they have no memorial. Okay, and it says, but these were merciful men whose righteousness have not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children, okay, are within the covenant. Okay, so just because these men wasn't named, that doesn't mean, all right, that those men, all right, wouldn't come back in their lots. Okay, through what? Their seed. You see, because the prophets, we in a time where the prophets was finna get rewarded. It said their seed stand fast, and their children for their sake. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. Okay, shall not be blotted out. All right. So just because they wasn't named, that doesn't mean, all right, that the Lord doesn't have them back now. Okay, doing what they've been doing for ages. Okay, the Lord hasn't forget, all right, their service, man. The Lord hasn't forgotten their service. And these men are back today, man, scattered throughout these camps. All right, so their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth forevermore. The people will tell of their wisdom, and the congregation will show forth their praise. And that's, Lord will their number. Brothers are crowned in the kingdom, man. Hey, these legacies are going to be known. All right, going back to the beginning. Okay, well, let's go here. Let's get a few more. All right, let's get a few more. Because you're going to the book of Daniel. This is a beautiful story the Lord has playing out. So you got to be in love with this thing. You got to be in love with the story, man. Just how, how this thing is playing out. So you go here to the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 13. It said, but go thy way to the end be. Okay. So this is Daniel being told, go thy way. All right. for thou shalt rest. He will die off. Okay, he will die off. It says, and stand in thy lot at the end of days. Okay, so it was told to him that what he will stand in his lot at the end of days. So let's get this word. All right, stand. All right, which in the Hebrew, amad. Okay, amad, which is what? To stand, to remain, to endure. Okay, now you go here. The main definition says to arise, to appear, to come on the scene. Okay, to come on the scene, to stand forth, to appear. So the prophets are going to come on the scene as the prophets. They're going to be they're going to have the spirit of prophecy, man. Okay, prophets not going to be into, all right, the world. Prophets are going to be into the spirit of prophecy, man. Okay, we in the flesh, so you got your little thing that you do, man. Your priority, your focal point is going to be prophecy. You see, the prophets had personal lives. You see, one of the sons of prophet, his wife, was a widow, so he had a wife and family, and he had this thing. Okay, but what was he known for, man? Prophesying. Okay, so the prophets, that company of prophets, they're back. All right, these are the prophets that we read about, that we know they're back. The ones that we don't know, they're back. Everyone's back in their lot. All right, you see. So that's why you go to 1 Corinthians 14. All right. In verse 32 says, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Okay, so those spirits of old that we read about, the prophets we know and the ones that we don't, where they always going to come back as prophets in their lot, man. Okay, so when you go here to the book of Revelation, we'll end it here. Revelation 11:18. What are they back for? To prophesy, hey, one more time. All right, this is the last performance of the prophets, because there won't be a need for prophets in our kingdom. We're going to be in our kingdom. Okay, that we've been prophesying about for ages, man. Revelation 11:18 says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, in the time of the dead that they should be judged. Okay, which we went into this, the dead going to the heathens, and 2/3 of our people says, and thou shalt oh yeah, Salaki. Well, yeah, that was the point. Lord will you, brothers. All right, and you sisters edify once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings say